And I'm going to call the meeting to order of the Erving Conservation Commission. And it is, I have 6:03. And are you taking
Yes.
notes tonight? Thank you very much. And there is one order of business, and that is the public hearing on 5 through 8 Care Drive, notice of intent. This is a continuation of a previous public hearing. So before I do that, I'm going to bring to everybody's attention two things. Number one, if you need to know what we're talking about when we don't lay something out and complete, if you need the abbreviations, are on the back of the agendas. And number one. Number two, the way we conduct our business is that we get a presentation, and then we ask questions, get answers on that, and then we ask if there are public comment at that time to that specific, which in this case is number 2, the Care Drive notice of intent. And then we make our decision and move on to the next item, of which we do not expect any tonight. So that's the order in which we conduct our business, and so I'm going to open or reopen the public hearing on the Care Drive notice of intent, and we would like to have let's see, I guess it's Berkshire Design Group, if you'd like to come up, and also maybe we could have at the same time, we could have our reviewer to present both, since supposedly you guys have come to an agreement on so I don't know how much room there is there at the table.
We can get more chairs.
So
More
just
tables,
bring your
we can
chairs
do
right up to
everything.
that table where that, so you can speak, and please do speak loudly to us so we can hear all the way over here, even though you're right up to the TV for the public out there. I'm sure there are hundreds and thousands of people paying attention. And then we can go over this. So as I say, speak up so we can hear you.
Okay.
And let us know, number one, what are the concerns and what are the responses, and how are you all in agreement at this point, and what do we need to do? What do you need from us?
Rachel Loeffler with Berkshire Design Group, and Greg Henson with Berkshire Design, and Dominic.
Dominic Rinaldi with BSC Group, the peer reviewer.
Yeah, and so we received peer review comments from Dominic, and then we went through them one by one to determine, to figure out what a response would be. Some of them were questions about methodologies of modeling, and so even if we thought that our methodology was appropriate, we went and would verify what Dominic thought, and didn't really have a lot of material change to the design overall. There are a couple points that were worth discussing further, which I think Greg and Dominic discussed some more, and those were related to the infiltration rates of soils that were used for the model, the classification of the woods, and some TSS removal. I think those were the bigger items. And I should say that in parallel to this, between our last hearing and the peer review comments, we did have an opportunity to meet with the Care Drive design team, the engineering design team, and we were able to incorporate their utilities that are proposed in the right-of-way into our design, so that we're more fully coordinated with that. So that change also happened on the drawings. I don't know how we should structure this next part.
Well, I could just call out number of comments.
Okay.
You have that
Yeah,
same.
we all have it. Yeah.
And so, topic number 1 was concern with riprap sizing calculations. Any of you want to comment on that?
Do you want to talk, Greg?
Okay, as Dominic requested, we did provide riprap calculations for all the discharge points, either out of flared-in sections or the rain guardian bunkers, where they discharge to a swale down a slope. Did the calculations to determine the sizing of the riprap, and that has been added to the stormwater report based on what Dominic has said. It's been added to the one that was previously submitted.
And do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, if I may just, so for the record, so these came in on December 23rd, so unfortunately I had already left for the holiday when they came in, but I did get a chance to go through it today. You'd say I have some notes on here. Really, the vast majority of these, which is what I expected and what we had talked about, are pretty minor. They're things I didn't expect to make huge changes, but clarified and confirmed certain things. They did, I don't know, I mean, there's 25 of them. I don't know if you want to go through them all one by one. I can touch on the highlights. Like a lot of, like the riprap sizing is very simple. They did it. It looks great. It's
How
there
about
now.
we just say, are there any that you guys would like to comment on? That any of the three of you would like to comment on instead of going through all?
Yeah, I mean, for me, having not, like I said, having just gone through it today, there's two I'd like to highlight. I don't think they're issues per se, but just sort of
Okay.
Talk through maybe?
Yeah, talk through. So one is number 10, which was really about when they did their test pits. It was the end of May of, I believe, this year. And I think it was like a few days before they had removed the drought classification in the area. They did provide a list of a lot of resources that they looked at. I know some of these were in this updated stormwater report, just to dot the I's and cross the T's, if any that aren't in there that they looked at, because this does really paint the picture that groundwater, despite having just come out of a drought, groundwater was at or higher than normal elevations. And because it was May, that's where you're really looking at a time of year where you're going to get your seasonal highs, so that what they found in the field is actually representative of seasonal highs. So it's really, again, just making sure that all of those, it's a good list. They've got monitoring wells on the site, monitoring wells near the site, like where I'm assuming is a USGS well in, I think, Orange. Somewhere on here, like an index well. So those are all good sources to, just like I said, dot those I's, cross those T's of where they're estimating seasonal high groundwater to be, which is pretty deep, is actually the case.
Yeah, and to talk a little bit more about that, when they were digging, we have really sandy soils, and there's a limit to the depth the excavator could go because our soil evaluator physically walks into the hole to look at the soil profiles. So at the time of digging, they did not encounter groundwater. They did not see redux or any indication in groundwater, but it wasn't, conclusive. And so Dominic was asking for more information.
And all this information that they're talking about just backs up
right.
their estimations, which makes a lot of sense
Which
to me.
showed that groundwater was like 90,
really,
between 90 and 100
really
feet
deep.
below ground. So it wasn't something that we would have to worry about
Right.
from a stormwater quality or stormwater
Yeah.
standard perspective.
Yeah.
So the only thing that affected was whether or not we had to do a mounding analysis. Because if you're less than 2 feet above groundwater, you have to do a mounding analysis to see how high the water's going to come up into your detention basin, whether it's going to affect that. And we took that section out of the calculations because we didn't need it after all this
Background information.
Yeah. So again, that one is just, like I said, I dotting, T crossing of having the information in hand. So for the record, and then really the only other one that I think warrants probably any discussion at all, which is really something I think the commission kind of has to ultimately make a decision on is number 11, the very next one, which really has to do with the number of test pits. So the stormwater handbook, and I may be telling you stuff you already know, so forgive me if I'm saying that stuff you already know. But the stormwater handbook requires for infiltration basins, which they have 4 of them here, that you do test pits within the limits of the actual basin, and it's 1 per 5,000 square feet of basin area with a minimum of 3 per basin, which if you laid that out in basins this size, it's going to seem like a lot. They're going to be very close together. These basins aren't that big. I think one of them might be a shade over 5,000 square feet, and the rest are under 5,000 square feet. So they only require that minimum of 3. They have 5 test pits for the whole site. I think a couple are in basins, but the rest aren't. So per the DEP requirements, they'd need more test pits. Their test pits are really consistent. This version report you also submitted, there's a geotechnical report in there with I forget how many borings that are telling the exact same story, very consistent. The materials are the same, no sign of groundwater until you get crazy deep. I would not expect, I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I wouldn't expect them to go out and dig 100 more test pits and find anything that's discernibly different out there. Plus, I think they have information from when this facility was built and the whole area. But it is ultimately, DEP has that requirement, so I was kind of obligated to point it out. They've suggested, which is really the choice the commission ultimately has to make, is, maybe at the start of construction, right, they lay out their erosion controls as they're clearing, and they have a contractor on board. They do a few more test pits to just verify what they found. Realistically, the only way this ever comes up again, if the commission were to proceed with the test pits they have, is if somebody appealed to DEP. And the DEP would say, you don't have enough test pits, go out and do the test pits. And that would literally be it. And if, assuming the test pits came back the same, the design wouldn't change, and that's where we'd be. So ultimately, that's a decision the commission has to make. Do you want them to do the, math? Be like 10 more in 4 locations that are really on top of each other and probably show the same thing they were already seeing? Or are you comfortable in kind of the pragmatic approach, I'll call it? The engineer in me looks at it as you're going to have, you're going to have a test pit where you are, you're going to have another one where he is. Right? That's not that far away.
I just want to say, I think I understand the particular pile of silt and sand that all of this is built on and going to be built on. So I'm not particularly concerned. It's conceivable that, when we submit this, that DEP might say something. And if they do, then we have to respond to that.
Yeah, but honestly, probably not.
I don't think
unless someone actually appeals it to them and they're reviewing it in that level of detail, it's probably a nothing.
We did receive comments from DEP, but they did not flag.
They didn't mention it.
They did not talk about test pits.
Okay.
Yeah. So
good.
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and that was really my point in bringing that up, was for the sake of moving the project forward. If you were going to require the additional test pits, it'd be better to tell them tonight than wait till I don't know when.
You have any concern?
No, it's stated here that the test pits were consistent across the site. So
yeah, and they really are.
And it looks, what you state in the last paragraph, the last couple of sentences about after the point, alternatively, the design team can report back to the commission during excavation if any condition deviates from the previous test pits. I think that's a pretty good catch-all. I think we could be comfortable
and
with
realistically, something goofy like that could even happen if they did all the test pits exactly like DEP said. You could have a test pit there and a test pit there, and right in the middle there could be something different. So it's not like it guarantees that everything's going to be perfectly fine. So I don't know what is calling me right now.
Are there any other particular areas of concern?
No, really everything else, like I said, was really, I think, It feels like they've covered, like I said, I got to get a little more into the weeds, but it really feels like, I mean, there's a couple that are sort of related to that and bounce around in the same general range, but they've really addressed the comments we had, whether through clarifications or a little edit on the plans. It looks like I had some questions, but they sort of mapped out the maintenance access for each basin, and it looks like you can definitely get down to each basin in a reasonable fashion when they have to be cleaned out and maintained or mowed. So, I mean, really, I think they've kind of touched on everything here. I feel pretty comfortable with it. I am going to give you sort of that final write-up that says, like, yay, for your records, which will be this week, but I just didn't have a chance to get that done before tonight. But like I said, everything I've reviewed here, I feel very comfortable with their responses. And, I mean, I honestly didn't even... There was nothing in here that I felt was like a project killer to start with. There was nothing here that was that big a deal, so...
I just want to put one note out, and it looks like everything that the question of separators is all addressed in there, and whatever might end up on parking areas, it would be drained through those, and the specifications are drawn up in there.
Yep.
And discussions about them seem adequate. I just need to say, we are adjacent to or on top of an aquifer, providing water for this part of town. And that is a concern when you're on this side of the road. I believe that the distinction is the far side of the road and this side of the road, roughly. And so I just wanted to make that note. And that the various, there's several brands of separators mentioned in here, and maintenance and so forth is discussed, and I appreciate having that in here.
Yep.
So, comment from the board?
I think this has been very helpful. The two columns side by side, and the solutions provided by the design team. Everything seems, given that we are not the experts, but we're counting on your expertise to certify that the questions have been, correctly answered. I feel comfortable with that.
Nikki?
No comments, no.
So, as per the way we operate, is there any public comment that before we make any decision? Hearing none?
Oh, there is one. Yes.
Okay.
Should we
can you
move to
make
left?
room for the
Yeah.
microphone there and identify yourself and ask the question and make your comment?
Good evening, Conservation Commission. My name is William Bembury, and I am a Select Board member and also Chair of the Senior Housing Committee, who has worked on this. The committee has worked on this project for about 10 years now, and it's finally come to fruition. I'd only like to say at this time that the committee is in full support of the Berkshire report, and I can't speak for the Select Board, but I can assure you that through all of our negotiations and the work that we put into seeing that this project moves forward in a timely manner, that the Select Board has always been on the same path to see it happen. And barring any questions you have for me, it's been a long process, and we're nearing a point where it definitely is a reality. And thank you for your time, and appreciate all you can do. Thank you.
Well, thank you and the group for all the effort you put in over all those years to get this underway.
Thank you, sir.
So now the question we have is, we have conditions that we would need to put on this. And as I believe, without having the notice of intent in front of me, there were basically standard conditions for construction work that were on it, and that's it. I'm not positive there's anything else other than that.
Right. Well, if we vote to accept the notice of intent, then we have a certain amount of time to develop an order of conditions. We don't have to provide that tonight, and we might need help. So
And-
that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse because we haven't consulted on orders of condition yet. But we will,
Yeah, and some of them are in here, in this document, that, changes and
yeah,
and
well, we'll need
additions.
to, right, we'll need to look at it, so.
Do you find anything there? You're obviously looking things up.
I've got the entire application packet from RDI and Berkshire Design,
Oh, boy.
but I'm not seeing. Were you saying a standard condition form that DEP had already listed, or was that?
See, that's not pertinent to tonight.
Yeah.
We don't have to deal
No,
with
I don't
this.
think okay. I would say we will develop them at our next meeting if there
Yeah,
are
yeah.
specific
Yeah, that makes
ones
sense.
we want to add.
Yeah.
I think we'd asked Tom to put that into part of the recommendation in that final report.
Yeah.
Any specific
Right.
recommendations on orders.
Mhm.
Did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I was nodding yes. That's fine.
All right, so
What we're here for.
I'd like to, well, I'll start. I'll make a motion that we accept the notice of intent.
Mhm. I'll second that.
Okay? So, all
Any
those in favor?
Any discussion, further discussion?
Well,
Mhm.
theoretically, we've already had, actually, we've had the discussion, but you're right. Is there any further discussion?
Mhm.
Nope.
I'd
Not.
just make a friendly recommendation that you just include in your motion for your orders of conditions to be set at your next meeting.
Thank you.
I'd like to double check the regulations as to see how much time we have.
Correct.
The next meeting might be a little bit too soon if it turns up next week. So,
I just
know,
don't think you want your motion to sound like you were done with this topic. If you
Right,
haven't set
you're
your
right.
orders yet.
yeah.
I would amend the motion to include orders of conditions set at the potential order of, potential conditions to be set at the next meeting. As
Second.
appropriate, okay? Second?
Yes.
So now I can ask for all those in favor.
Yeah, I'm ready for a discussion first.
Okay.
I did make the statement that the next meeting is next week. I cannot picture having an order of conditions ready. We could have a discussion at the meeting. We have something like 45 days.
Oh, okay.
So we don't have to rush through this, and they're not going to start building next week. So we got to be careful about what we commit to.
Of course.
Okay, so I'll withdraw my motion. Let's try and make
Yeah.
it all over again.
Right.
Um,
Just accept the notice of intent and end of story,
Okay.
in
I'll
my
just-
opinion.
All right, accept the notice of intent.
So your previous motions are withdrawn,
Right.
okay?
And the new one is that we accept the notice of intent.
Yeah.
And that's all, and we'll set anything
Right.
else up
Right.
subsequently.
Mhm.
Does that meet everybody's approval?
I second that motion.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, does anybody have any additional items?
Not anticipated.
Just for clarity,
Mhm.
so your meeting is next week?
Yes, our next meeting is next week.
Is a discussion on this topic intended for that meeting?
Both that meeting and within 45 days.
So with that understanding, obviously, Glenn's not here, I'll communicate that back to him. What do you need from BSC Group in terms of having that discussion? Or from any party, what do you need to have your discussion next week? As David noted, that's a short timeline, so I want to make sure you have what you need.
I think that since it's going to be a preliminary discussion, anything that our consultants can provide in terms of special conditions, suggestions, or anything to help guide us, I mean, that'd be really,
That's all you're looking for
Perfect.
right now? Okay.
but beyond that, I don't think we can commit to too much at
Agreed.
this point.
Just want to make sure you have what you need.
And,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So one last thing is,
When there's time. I have a question, comment. If it's pertinent now, I can.
go ahead.
You mentioned that we're
You
not
want to
going
identify yourself?
Sure. Hi. You mentioned that we're not going to start building in the next 45 days, and that's true. Can you not hear me? Okay, just checking. You're making, wasn't sure. We do have funding deadlines and timelines, and notice that we're hoping to get in touch with those funders. Specifically, we're right now in the throes of the state's funding round and a pre-development loan increase. Having information about the progress here before the end of this month, specifically before January 29th, would be key for us. So I know you have a certain amount of time.
Yep.
I just want to be clear that would
Sure.
be helpful for us.
Yeah. So the basic approval of the notice of intent wouldn't be enough. You're saying you'd like to have the order of conditions in hand.
If that were possible.
Okay. Yeah, we always make accommodations as best we can. If we get a signal from our consultant that there are no real special conditions that need to be placed, then we could have basically the boilerplate conditions on the order, and I think that would be fine.
Yeah, I honestly, looking through this, I think that's essentially all we're looking to have time for is to write up the standard, hay bales and sediment walls and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
The standard stuff and, and put it and append it to the form. We're not, we've approved the notice of intent.
Yes.
Is
Thank
that,
you.
That good enough for moving
So-
forward?
Do we need to ask our consultant to provide us with something before January 6th meeting?
If there's anything that you have in the way of special conditions that you would, beyond what anything is in here, that's all we're looking for.
So
If you
just,
can think of something.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts that are basically in there, but just formalize them, like the thing about, the test pits and stuff like that. That'll be very straightforward and very simple, nothing onerous. But they're pretty typical things that you could add in there. And the same with, like we talked about, right? They've already said for the treatment devices, if they switch, that they got to submit those to you and with the calcs and things like that. There's nothing in there that's going to be like, oh my god, we can't live with that. It's going to be very straightforward, standard stuff, but just it's really not in the run-of-the-mill DEP ones. So, and I'll shoot those over
Okay.
this week or something. It's not
I'm assuming that that's good enough to start construction in the next 45 days. No.
Yeah, and just for the record, I'm not 100% positive because I often get these timelines.
Excuse me,
mixed up.
I'm really having a hard time
Oh, sorry,
following
I'm
you.
not 100% positive, but I often get these timelines. But I'm pretty sure it's 21 days
Okay,
from
yeah.
when you vote to approve
That's
an
fine,
order to
yeah.
when you have to issue it.
Okay.
So, don't you double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the.
I guess there's my understanding is there's also by the time DEP reviews it, I mean,
Yeah, and then
it
there's
builds up
from the time it's issued, there's a 10-day
Yep.
appeal window.
Yeah.
That they could start doing stuff at
Yeah.
their own
That's-
risk, but after 10 days, if nobody's appealed, everything's free.
Okay. So
That timeline, I am
Yeah.
positive about.
yeah. Thank you for that. So one of the, I guess what we will do our absolute best to do for based on your request to get, January 29th is your deadline, as we'll pull this together and get that information to you, as long as we have some guidance from our
Yeah, and you
consultants.
will.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay,
Because I want to keep you on the regulatory timeline. So.
okay.
Yeah, one little point of order thing I've missed. I think I need to close the hearing.
Oh, yeah, now that we're just, if
Are
we're
we done? You got any more
No,
thoughts?
no, I
You got
guess
any more
not.
thoughts? Any ideas, thoughts? Okay, so I'll close the public hearing on Care Drive, and not hearing any additional items. When we were out of order there a little bit. So I'll adjourn the meeting with the next meeting, January 6th.
Okay, good,
Okay,
yeah, agreed.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
6:20, 35.
Okay.
Okay.